Well, it's a blustery old evening tonight up here just outside the man cave. Welcome. It's been a few weeks, I know it has, and I've had problems. I had one or two technological problems. I'm a bit of a technophobe, to be honest. Plus holidays have got in the way as well, but I've got a nice little video. I think it's a nice little video anyway. What this one is all about, it's about a local custom, if you like, a local event that suffered through COVID but has come back again afterwards, and it's Longnor Races. It's the next village along from me here, and every year, every September, they have this sports day, little gymkhana, a little bit of athletics, well, a hill race, shall we put it that way, and harness racing. Some call it trotting, it's called harness racing, where ponies pulling sulkies, I think they're called, really. But either way, it's exciting to watch. It can be, but what I really go for is the motorbike grass tracking. So what I've done is I've tried to include a little bit of the sort of what it's all about, and the atmosphere of the village event, shall we say, and as well as that, a little bit more of my own history, my own sporting history. How's about that then? Yeah. So anyway, see what you think. Thanks for being patient, and if you do find it interesting, give us a thumbs up if you would, and yeah, if you haven't already, then it'd be nice if you subscribe. So yeah, see what you think. Leave it with you. Cheers. Well, good afternoon all. Welcome to my day at the races. Day at the races, eh? Well, what I'm going to take you to is a traditional event that's been held for a long time now, just outside the next village to where I live. But first, yes, it's all about racing. I'll tell you what sort of racing later, but another little bit of my history, if you like, is that I was back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, quite an enthusiastic runner. I was no sprinter. I was cross country at school, and then I ran in cross country sort of competitively in my first years as a policeman, and then I started to do half marathon. I found my ideal distance to be half marathon, and this is part of my training run. It's an absolutely beautiful training run, as you can see. I went out with a piece of yellow chalk one day in a vehicle, and put little yellow chalk marks on the stone walls at every mile, so I knew exactly how far I'd run and how long it had taken me. And to begin with, what I'm going to do is, I mean, it's a fantastic little ride. I've often done this. It's a 13-mile run, but I did toy with the idea of doing actual full marathons at one time, and I did a couple of 2-lappers, if you like, of my training run, 26 miles. But 13 miles was seemed to be my distance anyway. And when you look at when you look at the route that my training run took me, down out of the village, down into the Manifold Valley, this is over to the left of us, across the field is, in fact it's just here at the minute, it winds its way all over the place. Here's the River Manifold. At the minute it's got a bit of water running through it, but I can guarantee just a few miles downstream it'll be dry as a bone, with the weather being the way it is. Drank a lot of cups of tea up there as well, up at the house up there. West Side Mill this is. Interesting place. It's got connections to the copper mining operations up on the hill. That's up to the right of us. That's Acton Hill up there, the hill I've spoken about so many times with so many copper mining remains. Campsites are still in use. Kids have all gone back to school now, of course, but what is it, the 7th of September? Yeah. It's a lot of holiday makers making use of this phenomenally good weather we're having at the minute. Manifold Inn, formerly the Light Railway. Because of its connection with the Manifold Narrow Gauge Railway, the Beacon Manifold Light Railway. I ran half marathons quite regularly until I damaged my back in 1988, and after that it was absolute agony to put one foot in front of the other more than walking pace, so the running took a bit of a stop. Beautiful scenery. Over in front of us and down to the right, that's the valley of the River Dove. That's the, as I've said before, that's the boundary, the natural boundary if you like, between Staffordshire and Derbyshire. So lucky to live in an area as beautiful as this. This is all my patch in the old job, as I put it. Very fortunate to land a job looking after this area. The Staffordshire part of the Peak District effectively was my patch, 86 square miles. The lady down there on the left, she taught all three of my kids. For her sins, she must have done something really bad in a previous life to be lumbered with my three. Coming up to the village of Sheen, we just miss out on the entrance to the factory. This up on the left, this is the original factory for a company that was known as Bell Engineering. Their claim to fame was, I think I mentioned it before, is concrete mixers, cement mixers. What's the most common colour of a cement mixer? Orange.
and I think Bell Engineering, I don't know its modern name, to be honest. It's multinational now, but they made the vast majority of all the cement mixers probably throughout the world, to be honest. Staffordshire Knot pub. There is some hope that might reopen at some point, but there's no real sign of it just yet. Used to be known as a spinning wheel. Left of us, that's a trig point I haven't visited yet, on the top of Sheen Hill. And down to the right of us is the Dove Valley. It's not Dovedale here. Dovedale, the bit that's known as Dovedale, is a few miles behind us, but down on the right there, that is the very young, very junior River Dove. Yes, almost as soon as I retired from the old job, I got my licence to drive buses and coaches, and for 4 years I was a school bus driver around here, and this along here, this was part of my original bus route. I can think of worse bus routes. Still on my half marathon route. All the boys are out. Now we're coming down to the village of Longnor. I know I've brought you through Longnor before, but this is the biggest village. And down at the bottom here, I would when I was running, I would turn right and just follow that road back to my village at Worslow, which was just over 3 miles from here. But the road's closed across there. Don't quite know what they're doing, but the road's closed, so we couldn't go that way if I wanted to. So we're going to go across to the fields that are used again, fortunately, for what is part of the Longnor Wake celebrations, and it's variously known as Longnor Sports or latterly Longnor Races. Longnor Races. It's an event that's been held since 1904. And there's just been an enforced break, thanks to COVID of course, of 4 years. don't know if you can see in the distance, there's the old field system across there, crop rotation, from back in the old days. So yeah, no racing, no sports for 4 years, thanks to COVID. That's the third longest period that the sports have been suspended for. The first two, of course, were the Great War and the Second World War. But there's been some concern that the committee that organised the sports, the races, had not lost interest, but quite an ageing committee, and a few of them are no longer with us. Thank you, sir. Oh, the grass track races. All sorts of events take place here during today. All interesting, but the most interesting to me are the grass track racing. There's probably the most popular amongst the spectators is the well, some call it trotting races, some call it harness racing. It's a, I don't think it's a quarter-mile oval. But they use the same circuit, the same track. The equestrian races, there's the gymkhana, mainly for the kids, and there certainly used to be a couple of running races. There was something they used to call the Green Mile. That was way before the film came out, but the Green Mile, and it's a mile run around several laps of the circuit. Which I used to participate in. It wasn't my distance, but I had to have a go. But my event that I participated in was the hill race. You would call it a fell race usually, but these people across here call it the hill race. And I did take up fell racing as well, so it really was my distance, my sort of event. But I participated quite a few years. On 2 occasions I got the prize for the first local back. The problem was, of course, that most of the time I was on duty in uniform, so it did pose a bit of a problem. And there was one year, I can talk about it now because I can't get any trouble anymore, but there was one year that I got changed in the back of me. I had a white Land Rover with an orange stripe down the side, and I got changed out of my uniform into my running gear in the back of the Land Rover, participated in the race, then quickly got back in my Land Rover and got changed back into my uniform. A bit sweaty and smelly, but I had to finish my duty. The embarrassing part came when I was called to collect my prize with my first back. The following year I had a very understanding sergeant, and she said, I know you want to do the run, and it's unusual, but I'm going to suggest that you work a split shift. Do 4 hours, then nip home, get changed, come back, do the run, nip back, get changed and come back and finish your duty. That way nobody can complain. So that's what I did. So yes, I got first local back twice. But the most interesting event that I come across here for these days is the motorbike grass track racing. Yes, it's grass track racing, but it's so lumpy the course is so uneven that the bikes that use it, the bikes that participate, tend to be motocrossers. Used to be sidecars as well, sidecar grass tracking, but a good few years ago there was a tragic accident and one of the competitors ended up, they overturned the outfit and he ended up impaled on one of the wooden stakes that marks the course out. So after that there was no more sidecar racing, although that was by far the most exciting, as it often is. But so that's Longnor Races. I'm going to show you little bits of it, if I can catch a little example of every event. That'll do me. So I'll switch off for now, and we'll see what the events turn out like.
Challenge Cup, and when I get the nod, we'll set them off. They're off already, so please just watch the finish line. They do come in quick, so please do be careful. It's a tight race this. Yep, here they come. I'm not sure who's running first at the moment, but it's a tight race. Please, a round of applause as they come round to the finish line. Gonna be a tight finish. Just takes it. Number 3.
Now for the majority of the visitors, the spectators, this is the main event, the harness racing. Sometimes known as trotting racing. The reason they call it trotting is because that's what the horses have to do. If they break into a gallop, that's it, they're disqualified. Several races. Back in the day, there could be as many as eight bookies with the stalls just over the far side, but today there's only 2. There's nowhere near as many competitors as there used to be. I think COVID's got a lot to answer for, to be honest. But
okay, drivers, if you group up in the turn there.
Coming up for the first race anyway.
Okay, drivers, bring them in. Move up, Gary. Move up. Steady down, drivers. Running in. And they're away. The first one to step away, I'm a Preacher's made good use of the one draw. Out wide is Defibrillator as they race round the turn. It's I'm a Preacher on the inside. Quick and up. She's going for home. It's James Athorway up front, just like he always is. Imperial Magic Miss. Away in second is on top. Jasper trying to reel him back in. Gussie So Surreal next. Ernie Will is way out of it as they race into the final turn. And it's all about Imperial Magic. Right away, Imperial Magic Miss. On the inside now is on top Jasper, trying to reel him back in. Gussie's So Surreal, but they're nothing against this leader. Look at her go. It's all about Imperial Magic Miss in the fall of a lifetime. Imperial Magic Miss and James Athorway taking second on top. Aaron Athorway now has fouled the rail in second. Next in the running line now is Sweet Heartbreaker for Ethan Fenner. Eagles Warrior next, and last of the field is Maisie's Dream. As a race round the turn is Full Disclosure, got the front end, Lee Fletcher right where he wanted to be. On the rail in second now is Ferox Flame. Next in the running line is Sweet Heartbreaker. Eagles Warrior next. Closure on the outside. Sweet Heartbreaker now is taking closer order, and here comes Eagles Warrior, and the Master Rainsman James Athorway moves round the field free deep into the final turn, and Eagles Warrior is going for home as he races into the final turn. It's Eagles Warrior and James Athorway going out for his 55th win of the season. It's Eagles Warrior pulling right away. It's all about Eagles Warrior at the top of the stretch. It's going to away Eagles Warrior way before the finish line. Eagles Warrior takes it for James Athorway. A race on for second, looks like it's Ferox Flame, Full Disclosure, Maisie's Dream, and Sweet Heartbreaker.
I suppose you say this is where the real action is. motorbike paddock. All of them motocross machines. Just too bumpy for grass trackers.
So here we go then, right. 455, Ashton takes the lead. Jack Twentyman drops back to third place, just trying to suss it out. Somebody's coming down the back straight, he's chasing down Ashton, one of last year's winners. He seems to have got a 3 or 4 back lengths, but he's close on the first 3, coming round for the first line. Ashton's still going for it. Through the first block, and there's been some close ones, there's been some easy ones. Here we go, all lined up. Make sure we're paying attention. Come on, let's not be cheating. Everybody on the line. Everybody on the line. Wait till he's out of the way. And there we go. And number 11 got the fire. Number 11, Ricky Petty. But Jack Beresford straight on the outside. Drifting slightly wide, but he's going to get the drive down the back straight, and he pulls a couple of back lengths. Ricky Petty again. One of last year's favourites, won quite a couple last year, obviously came back, feels like he needs to show his mark again. Ricky Petty coming around, got a substantial lead, Jack Beresford slowly drifting out, second place, 3 by Watson, Jack Beresford, 3-4-4 now, catching up. And there's a bit of a race going on in the back. I think first and second have already established. Third and fourth are barreling out. Nose to nose as he come round the final corner. Last flag down, Ricky Petty. Comfortable first. Second place. Jack Beresford now. Third again down, straight number 3. Fourth and fifth. Oh, one of the markers comes up. One of the markers comes up at the back. Still close. Is Jack going to catch him down the back straight? I think there's too many bikes in front now. I think they've all established where they are. Ricky Petty takes the checker flag. 745 or 344.
So that's it. Longnor Races back in action. Well, I couldn't stay for the fell race. Never mind. Incidentally, this valley over to the left of us, one of our nearest reservoirs, one of our newest reservoirs, I suppose, really, is Carsington, which is out towards Wirksworth, that sort of area. But the initial valley projected for that reservoir was this one to our left. Fortunately for those who live in this area, the valley was too shallow. It was deemed to be too shallow to hold enough water for the reservoir. But before, there was uproar when the plans were put forward. So many homes and farms under threat. So yes, there was a massive sigh of relief when Carsington was selected. It's a shame for those farms that were flooded in Carsington, admittedly, but it wasn't here. So that's it for Longnor Races for another year. I hope you found it a little bit interesting. It was nice to get back there, to be honest. Such a nice local event. Deserves to succeed. So yes, if you've enjoyed it, if you give us a thumbs up, and yeah, if you've not already subscribed, if you would, doesn't cost anything. And of course, please make a comment if you feel like doing so, because I do enjoy reading them and answering them as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.